It was 2 a.m. when the pounding on my front door shook me out of sleep. At first I thought it was a dream, but then I heard it again, louder, desperate, almost breaking the wood. My heart jumped into my throat as I stumbled down the hallway, the silence of my Kentucky home broken by the frantic knocks. When I opened the door, my world split in two. There stood my daughter, Martha, 7 months pregnant, her face streaked with tears, her body trembling. Her hair was a tangled mess, her lips swollen, and on her left cheek a bruise was spreading purple. "Mom, Louis hit me," she whispered, clutching her belly as if shielding the unborn child from the world. "It was over his mother again. I could not take it anymore." I froze, rage and heartbreak colliding inside me. That night was not just a cry for help. It was the beginning of a storm that would tear our family apart. Before I continue, let me pause to thank you. To all of you who have subscribed to this channel, I want you to know how much your support means to me. You are the fuel that keeps these stories alive. For those who are new here, welcome. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do. Your one click keeps this channel going strong. I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button and become part of this family. And please do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. Your words mean more than you know. Now, let me take you back into the story. My name is Bridget. I'm 56 years old, and I've lived all my life in a small Kentucky town where everyone knows everyone. I raised my daughter Martha on my own after her father passed away when she was just a child. I poured every ounce of my soul into her, and when she met Louis, I wanted to believe that maybe life had finally rewarded her with love. Louis was handsome, polished, and knew how to charm a room. But behind that smile was a man who leaned too heavily on his mother. From the very beginning, I saw how much sway his mother had over him. She interfered in every decision, from where they lived to how they spent their holidays. Still, Martha insisted he loved her, and I held my tongue. But tonight, as I looked at my daughter, pregnant, bruised, and broken, I knew the stakes were no longer about marriage struggles. This was about her safety, her dignity, and the life of the grandchild she carried inside her. Martha collapsed into my arms, sobbing so hard it shook her entire body. She tried to explain between gasps. They had argued again about Louis's mother, who wanted to move in with them once the baby was born. Martha said no, and Louis's temper had exploded. "He shoved me first, and then he hit me. Mom, he actually hit me." My blood boiled. I had seen glimpses of his temper before, but I never imagined it would come to this. My daughter, carrying his child, beaten because of his mother's meddling. I held her close, rocking her like I had when she was little. Inside, though, I was raging. Every warning I had swallowed for the sake of peace now felt like poison in my chest. I wanted to protect her, but I had stayed silent too long. "Martha," I whispered, holding her face in my hands, "you are safe now. I promise you, he will never touch you again. I will not allow it." Her eyes searched mine, filled with fear, but also a flicker of relief. I meant every word. I had lived too many years swallowing my voice, but tonight, something inside me snapped. I knew I had to confront Louis. He would know he had crossed a line he could never return from. But just as I was building my storm of fury, Martha pulled back, her lips trembling as she whispered words that cut through me like a knife. "Mom, this was not the first time." And in that moment, I realized the bruise on her cheek was only the surface of a darkness I had never dared to imagine. When my daughter whispered those words, "This was not the first time," the air seemed to leave my lungs. For a moment, I just stared at her, my hands frozen on her shoulders, as if my mind refused to accept it. "What do you mean, Martha?" My voice was trembling. Her eyes fell, shame pouring from her like a flood. He has lost control before. This bruise is not the first. It started with shoving, grabbing my arms too tightly, yelling so loud I thought the walls would crack. Then it became slaps, and tonight it was worse. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. My sweet girl, the child I raised with my bare hands, had been living in a silent hell, and I never knew. I pulled her into my arms again, rocking her gently like she was 6 years old again, afraid of the thunder outside her window. My heart burned with fury, but beneath it was a crushing weight of guilt. I had always promised her, after her father died, that I would be both mother and father, shield and protector. I worked 2 jobs to put food on the table, saved every penny so she could go to college, sacrificed every comfort so she could grow up safe. And yet, when she needed me most, she suffered in silence under my very nose. Tears pricked my eyes. "Why did you not tell me?" I asked, my voice breaking. Martha swallowed hard. "Because every time it happened, he came back with flowers or gifts. He would cry, Mom. He would say it was his mother's stress or the pressure of work. He always made me believe it was temporary, that he loved me more than anything. And then, when I got pregnant, I thought it would change him." Her voice cracked. "I stayed because of the baby. I wanted my child to have a father. And I was afraid of what people would say if they knew." Her words sliced through me. I wanted to scream, to curse the heavens, to march straight into Lewis's house and tear him apart with my bare hands. But instead, I sat there, trembling, stroking my daughter's hair as I fought back the fire in my chest. "You are not to blame," I whispered fiercely, "not for 1 second. The shame is his, Martha, not yours. You hear me? A man who lays a hand on a pregnant woman is no man at all." But she shook her head, her tears spilling over. "It is not just him, Mom. His mother, she has said things to me. She told me if I ever thought of leaving him, I would regret it. She said their family has power in this town and that no one would believe me over them." The words turned my blood to ice. This was not just about a hot-tempered man. This was a web of control stretching from Lewis to the woman who raised him. I sat back, my chest heaving. All the years of biting my tongue, of keeping the peace, of pretending I did not see the cracks, it all seemed to explode inside me. "You cannot go back," I said finally, my voice shaking with determination. "Not after this, not ever." Martha looked at me with wide, terrified eyes. "Mom, if I leave him, what if he takes the baby? What if his mother makes good on her threats?" Her words cut me deeper than a blade, because she was right. Families like theirs, with connections and influence, had ruined women before. But that didn't matter, not to me. I reached for her hands and held them tight. "Listen to me. I will not let anything happen to you. You and this baby are mine to protect now. He cannot hurt you again, not while I am alive." For the first time that night, Martha's shoulders softened. A single breath escaped her lips, heavy with relief. And then, just as I was gathering her close, a beam of light sliced across the curtains. Headlights swept into my driveway, their glow creeping across the living room floor. Martha's head snapped toward the window, her face draining of color. "Mom, it is him." The growl of a car engine cut through the silence, and with it, I knew the storm had arrived at my doorstep. The glow of headlights painted shadows across my living room wall, and the rumble of an engine made my stomach twist into knots. I clutched Martha's trembling hand. "Stay behind me," I whispered. Before she could respond, the pounding on the door began. Hard, violent, each slam shaking the frame. "Open up, Bridget," Lewis's voice thundered through the wood. "I know she is in there. Do not you dare keep my wife from me." Martha flinched at the sound of his voice, clutching her stomach, tears streaking her face. I rose, fire surging through my veins. "You will not touch her again," I said, more to myself than to him. I pulled the door open just enough to meet his face. His eyes were bloodshot, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth would shatter. Even in the porch light, I saw the same charming smile he had once worn twisted into something monstrous. "Where is she?" he barked, trying to push past me. I shoved the door back with all my strength, my voice sharp as a blade. "She is not your concern tonight. You put your hands on my daughter. You think you are man enough to strike a pregnant woman over your mother's nonsense? Not in my house, Louis. Not ever." His lips curled. "You do not understand, Bridget. She pushes me, she disrespects me, and she disrespects my mother. I had to put her in her place." The words sliced me open. "Put her in her place?" I spat, my voice rising. "She is carrying your child. You should be cherishing her, not breaking her spirit." Behind me, Martha sobbed softly. Her voice was shaky, but she managed to speak. "Louis, please stop. I cannot take this anymore." He leaned to the side, trying to see her over my shoulder. "Martha, baby, come home. I know I love you. I lost my temper, but it was your fault for—" "Enough!" I roared, slamming the door halfway shut. My body shook with rage. "Do not you dare blame her. You are a coward, Louis, a coward who hides behind his mother's skirt and his fists." For a moment, his face twisted into something darker. "You know what my mother says?" His voice dropped to a sneer. "A wife who questions her husband needs to be reminded who's in charge. You raised her soft, Bridget. You raised her weak. That is why she can't handle me." Martha gasped behind me, clutching her stomach as if his words alone were blows. Hearing him drag his mother into this lit a fire I could not control. "Your mother? That bitter woman has poisoned you, and now you think abuse is love? But listen to me, Louis. Your cycle ends here. It ends tonight." I reached for the phone on the table beside me. "I am calling the police." He laughed, a cruel, hollow sound. "The police? Do you really think anyone will side with you? My family has influence in this town. My mother has friends in every corner. Do you think your little word will destroy me? No one will believe you." His arrogance made my hands tremble with rage. Still, I dialed. Each beep of the numbers was a hammer pounding against his pride. "You touch that phone, Bridget," he growled, stepping closer, "and you will regret it." I lifted the phone to my ear, my voice steady, though my heart was pounding. "Yes, I would like to report domestic violence. My son-in-law—" But before I could finish, he lunged forward, his hand reaching for me, his eyes burning with fury. Martha screamed, her voice shattering the air. "Mom!" And in that frozen second, as his shadow fell over me, I realized this battle was no longer about words. It was about survival. Louis's hand shot forward, his shadow towering over me. I clutched the phone tight, bracing myself. But before he could strike, I shoved the door with all my strength. It slammed against his shoulder, stopping him for a heartbeat. "Mom!" Martha's scream tore through the night, raw and terrified. She pressed herself against the wall, clutching her stomach as if her very soul depended on it. The fury in Louis's eyes was unrecognizable. This was not the smooth-talking son-in-law I once welcomed into my family. This was a man consumed by rage, by entitlement, by the poison of his mother's voice in his head. "You will ruin everything," he shouted, his fist pounding against the wood. I held my ground, my own voice shaking, but loud. If you touch her again, I swear to God, Louis, you will see what a mother is capable of. Then came the sound that broke the chaos. A wail of sirens cutting through the Kentucky night. Red and blue lights danced across the walls, and the screech of tires announced salvation. For one stunned moment, Louis froze. His arrogance faltered. The neighbors had called the police after hearing his rage echo down the street. Within seconds, 2 officers rushed up the porch, their flashlights slicing through the dark. "Sir, step away from the door," one barked. Louis spun around, his words tumbling out like venom. "This is a mistake. She is my wife. She belongs with me." The officers did not waver. They grabbed his arms as he thrashed, cursing and shouting. "You do not know who my family is. My mother will fix this. You will regret touching me." But the more he struggled, the tighter they held him. Inside, I turned to Martha, who was sobbing, her face pressed against her hands. I rushed to her side, wrapping my arms around her trembling body. "It is over now, sweetheart. You are safe." One of the officers stepped inside. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Martha lifted her tear-stained face, her voice barely a whisper. "He's been hurting me for months. I was too afraid to speak." The officer nodded solemnly. "You did the right thing tonight. We will make sure he cannot come near you again." I felt tears sting my own eyes as I looked at my daughter, my brave, broken daughter, finding her voice in front of strangers. For the first time in months, maybe years, she was not just surviving, she was fighting back. Louis's voice still carried from outside, muffled by the car doors. "This is not over. My mother will handle this. You will regret it." I closed my eyes, breathing deep. Let him scream. Let him threaten. His reign over my daughter's life had ended tonight. Later, after the flashing lights had faded and silence returned to my home, I sat with Martha on the couch. She leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder. Her hand cradled her belly. The tiny life inside reminded us both what we were fighting for. "Mom, what if he finds a way back? What if his mother tries something?" I kissed her forehead. "Then we will fight harder. We will get the restraining order. We will speak the truth no matter who doubts us. You are not alone, Martha. You never will be." She closed her eyes, and for the first time in years, I felt her body relax against mine. As dawn crept across the horizon, painting the sky with soft pinks and blues, I sat awake, watching my daughter sleep peacefully on the couch. My chest ached, but not with fear. It ached with love, with pride, and with a fierce promise. I realized then that breaking cycles is never easy. Abuse does not just stop on its own. It festers, it hides, it passes from one generation to another until someone says, "Enough." Tonight, we said enough. I had always believed being a mother meant protecting your child as best you could. But now I knew it also meant giving them the courage to protect themselves. And as I looked at Martha, her hands resting gently over the child growing inside her, I whispered a vow to myself. This baby will never know the pain its mother endured, not while I am alive. Thank you for listening to this story. If it touched you, if it made you feel something deep in your heart, I ask you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever seen how far a mother's love can go? Do you believe cycles of pain can truly be broken? I would love to hear your voice. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means more than you will ever know. It keeps stories like this alive. Together, Let us keep shining light into the darkest corners of family secrets, because sometimes speaking the truth is the only way to set ourselves free.